Well, this is this big story tonight. After several twists and turns, the Government of India has filed an application to amend its special leave petition in the Supreme Court in the gas battle. The government has said it will not question the validity and legality of the Ambani family MOU. This was part of the original SLP that the government had filed, and now it has decided to delete that from its press. Siddharth Rabina joins us with more details of those amendments being sought by the government. Siddharth.
Well, today's interlocutory application that has been filed in the Supreme Court comes after weeks of confabulations, especially after a controversy arose over the original SLP, with the Additional Solicitor General saying that he virtually did not agree with many of the contentions in that SLP. The main prayer of today's interlocutory application are the following. The first part of this is that it seeks the Supreme Court's permission to go ahead and argue in the case that the government's stance, which has been taken as an intervener in the RIL-RNRL matter, be allowed to be prosecuted, the SLP be allowed to be held as maintainable. The second key part is that 3 paras of the original SLP are sought to be deleted. The court's permission has been sought to this end, and in that place, the prayer that has been submitted as a fresh prayer essentially says that the Bombay High Court order of June 2009 be set aside with respect to the issue of the interpretation of the gas allocation policy of the Government of India as well as the production sharing contract. The second prayer is that the policy of gas allocation of the Government of India, as it decides it from time to time, as well as the production sharing contracts with private parties, should have supremacy and cannot be controlled by any MOU, family MOU. Now, this reference is crucial because the original SLP had sought to quash in some ways the entire family MOU between the Ambanis. Today's application makes it clear that the government has nothing to do with that and in no way seeks that the family MOU be quashed and made null and void. That apart, there are several other interesting observations, including with regard to NTPC's price and the decision that the EGUM took. In sum and substance, this interlocutory application is the considered decision of this government and in some ways seeks to put an end to the controversy and obviously create a situation where the Petroleum Ministry does not or is not seen as going out on its own and taking a stance which is contrary to other departments of the government, and that the Government of India be represented with one voice in such crucial matters.
Thanks, Siddharth, for putting that in perspective. Meanwhile, soon after the details of that government's application became public, Anil Ambani responded in a hurriedly called press conference. Ambani said that he welcomes the government's amendments and that the role of the government will now be restricted to a few issues in the RIL-RNRL case, that is.
In the application filed today, the government has categorically stated that, 1, it is not the intention of the Government of India to question the validity and legality of the Ambani Memorandum of Understanding. 2, it is in no way concerned with the private dispute between Reliance Industries and Reliance Natural Resources or between the Ambani brothers. 3, it is not seeking any relief to set at naught any private arrangement or the MOU entered between parties. 4, the NTPC bid with RIL has always been kept out of the purview of the empowered group of ministers, and the empowered group of ministers' approved price basis is not applicable to NTPC. Deletion number 1, that the MOU, that is the Memorandum of Understanding, insofar as it deals with the rights of the Government of India, may be declared null and void. This is the first deletion. Deletion number 2, that the judgment of the Honorable Bombay High Court be set aside insofar as it gives an overriding effect to a privately arrived at Memorandum of Understanding to which the Union of India is not a party. This is the second deletion. And the third deletion directs that the said policy and the production sharing contract would prevail over any private arrangement or MOU.
Anil Ambani, they're talking about the deletions being made by the government in its original SLP. Remember, the government filed an interlocutory application, and Anil Ambani has welcomed that move by the government. He also welcomed the deletions made by the government in its latest SLP. Let's hear more on that. And Sajit Mangat, our correspondent, is also standing by to take us through more details on that. But first, let's hear out Anil Ambani. All right, Sajit, take us through what the mood really was as far as the ADAG camp was concerned. How did it go down? Because Anil Ambani clearly sounded like they've won this battle.
That's right, Shireen. Mr. Ambani was not as aggressive as he was in the previous press conferences or con call. But what needs to be taken into perspective is that he did touch upon a lot of items which were there in the SLP filed, amended SLP filed by the government, which included removing of the MOU from the case, which basically means that now the MOU won't be debated in the Supreme Court, and the case would merely be on the gas utilization policy and the supremacy of the production sharing contract. He also welcomed the move about the NTPC being given the right on that. But few things which he did not mention or he did not touch upon in the entire from the SLP was one. In the SLP, the government has categorically stated that it has rejected $2.34 per MMBtu of gas of the price because it is not on arm's length basis. Secondly, the government is also gone ahead and included in the SLP. It says that the rights and obligations between RIL and NTPC cannot be regarded as similar to the private arrangement between RIL and RNRL, which basically means that even though the ECOM decision spoke about without prejudice to RIL, RNRL and RIL NTPC case, it says that it will go ahead with giving right to NTPC because the entire NTPC contract was based on international bidding, but the same thing cannot apply to RIL, RNRL. So those are the two things which Mr. Ambani did not speak about or didn't touch in his brief statement which he read out from the paper. But what else he has said is basically that it came across that he has got it has been a victory of sort for him because the MOU will not be debated upon or will not be part of the case when it comes for final hearing on October 20th.